two satellites cross paths in low Earth orbit. Then, in an instant, they are gone. A flash appears above Earth. Not a fireball, not an explosion anyone can hear, just a collision. Where two objects existed a moment ago, a growing sphere of debris begins spreading outward in every direction. At first, it looks like the danger is over. The satellites are destroyed. The event is finished. But the cloud keeps expanding. Within minutes, fragments are drifting across neighboring orbital paths. One impact has become thousands of separate objects moving through the same environment. And every one of those fragments is still moving at extraordinary speed. Objects in low Earth orbit travel at roughly 17,500 miles per hour, 10 times faster than a speeding bullet. At this velocity, standard physics reverses. A piece of debris the size of a marble carries the kinetic energy of a detonating hand grenade. A fragment the size of a tennis ball strikes with the destructive force of a block of TNT, instantly pulverizing anything it hits. The debris is not harmless wreckage. Every piece is a hypervelocity projectile. Now that expanding cloud is moving through the same orbital environment that contains critical infrastructure. The danger is no longer the two satellites that vanished. The danger is everything they left behind. The question is, what happens when thousands of new, invisible bullets start crossing the paths of everything else? The debris cloud keeps circling Earth. One orbit becomes another, then another. The fragments sweep through low Earth orbit again and again, crossing routes used by satellites that had nothing to do with the original accident. On orbital maps, the paths begin to overlap. The accident is no longer local. This is exactly what made earlier orbital collisions so troubling. After one major satellite collision more than a decade ago, debris remained in orbit for years, continuing to cross the paths of other spacecraft long after the moment of impact. In some parts of low Earth orbit, fragments can remain dangerous for decades. Time is not quickly removing the problem. It is carrying the problem around Earth, over and over again. But there is another side to this story. On screens around the world, space surveillance radar systems are already tracking debris as it moves through low Earth orbit. Operators watch those paths constantly, looking for objects that might cross too close to an active satellite. A warning appears. The predicted paths intersect. Commands are sent. The satellite fires its thrusters and changes orbit. Hours later, the dangerous crossing never happens. Nothing collides. The system works. In fact, this is not unusual. Satellites regularly perform avoidance maneuvers to stay clear of known threats. Large debris fragments can be tracked, their future positions predicted, and their paths avoided. What looks chaotic from a distance becomes something far more manageable up close. A fragment is identified. A warning is issued. A maneuver is performed. The collision is avoided. Thousands of potential collisions are already prevented through tracking networks that watch low Earth orbit around the clock. Existing orbital infrastructure does not appear helpless. It appears defendable. For decades, the formula has been surprisingly effective. Find the object. Predict the crossing. Move the satellite. Avoid the collision. Again and again, the dangerous encounter never happens. The debris keeps moving. The satellites keep maneuvering. The predicted impacts never occur. Maybe the growing debris problem never becomes a true chain reaction. After all, a debris cascade requires collisions. And collisions appear preventable. For the first time, the larger fear begins to look overstated.
True scale of the debris field becomes
The crisis
terrifying.
no longer feels inevitable. It feels manageable. Then the simulation starts. The screen fills with far more debris than the tracking network showed. Not a little more, vastly more. The familiar map of known objects is suddenly buried inside an enormous hidden population. The collision probability curves keep rising. That is the first sign that something is wrong. If tracking and avoidance were enough to prevent a debris cascade, those curves should begin flattening. Instead, they continue climbing. The reason appears only after the known objects are stripped away. Most of the dangerous debris is not on the tracking screen.
What begins as organized orbital
Military radar networks on Earth can only reliably track objects larger than 10 centimeters. The system watches roughly 35,000 catalogued objects. That sounds like a lot, until the rest of the environment is counted. Below that tracking threshold sits an invisible ocean of wreckage, more than 100 million fragments smaller than a marble. Most will never appear on a warning screen. Most will never be tracked. Yet any one of them can arrive with enough energy to destroy a spacecraft. The belief that seems so reassuring breaks apart. A satellite can maneuver away from a known threat. It cannot maneuver away from an invisible one. Tracking is not failing. It is working exactly as designed. That is what makes the situation so dangerous. The system is successfully monitoring the part of the environment it can see. The problem is that most of the hazard exists outside that field of view. Every new collision adds more debris. Every new debris field increases the number of future invisible hazards. The crisis no longer looks preventable through tracking alone. Now it looks delayed. And that is a very different kind of problem. A rocket rises from Earth. Ahead of it, the space around the planet no longer looks empty. Layer after layer of debris circles Earth, each orbit crossing others. The danger is no longer a single impact. It is the orbital shell that impact leaves behind. As the debris population grows, the routes into orbit become harder to use safely. The models show something deeply unsettling. The density of debris is rising faster than the Earth's upper atmosphere can naturally drag it down and burn it up. The environment does not recover as quickly as it is being damaged. Then the original collision comes back into view. Not as an isolated accident, but as the first link in a chain. One collision creates debris. That debris increases the chance of future collisions. Those collisions create even more debris. The process feeds itself. This is the threshold known as the Kessler Syndrome. The point where collisions begin generating new debris faster than the environment can naturally clear it away. That is the moment the real disaster begins. Not when two satellites collide. Not when a cloud of fragments appears. But when the chain reaction becomes the environment itself, safe access to near-Earth space begins disappearing, and with it comes a threat to the systems modern civilization quietly depends on every day. Communications, weather forecasting, GPS navigation. The first collision is not the disaster. The disaster begins when future collisions become statistically inevitable. Because at that point, every satellite inherits a problem it did not create. Every launch enters an environment that is becoming more dangerous by itself. Every new impact increases the probability of the next one. The collision ends. The debris stays. The risk stays. The next mission pays for it.